Well, good morning and welcome to OverDeVest Nurseries on a fairly windy, blustery, cold old morning in early spring. It's the sort of day when things are really a little dismal, a little depressing. And so what I thought I'd do is just take this opportunity to show you how around the front of your house, perhaps on your patio, deck or wherever, you might want to use some colourful shrubs and perennials to brighten up things around your home. Now the neat thing is that at this time of year in the garden centres you'll often find some of these colourful, early, hardy, easy to grow perennials. Ones that you can put outside in a container. It might be something like this. I like the way that it goes, the grey colour goes with this nice yellow stem of the dogwood. Or it might be a larger container, a window box, something like this, that you can actually take the perennials and you don't even have to take them sometimes out of the pot. You can simply just pot them into it and it'll give you an instant display, and then you can use them elsewhere in the garden. The neat thing about all of these is that they're colourful, they have colourful foliage and flowers. Together they make a nice combination, and it's up to us really to decide which are the ones that appeal most to us. And what I often do when I go to the garden centre is that I'll pick what I call my key plant. In this case here, the yellow red stem dogwood, and incidentally this is one from proven winners called Arctic Fire Yellow. It's called a red stem dogwood, but as you see this particular one has yellow stems. Really very pretty and extremely hardy. And that's the neat thing about all of these, is that they're really outdoor plants, so you can put them out there, and if we do get blustery, windy, rainy weather, they're pretty well able to cope with that. But as I mentioned, you can go around the garden centre and take your key plant and then really just explore what else might go with it. I particularly like this combination here with this beautiful little ajuga, which is one from Garden Solutions, and this particular one is one called Cordial Canary. Only grows 6 inches high and has this beautiful yellow foliage with bright blue flowers. But you could also use coral bells or heucherellas, or perhaps some of the other little bugles, ajugas with coloured leaves. This is one called Parrot Paradise. But as I say, just explore the different combinations and then put them together according to your own personal like. And of course we all have our own personal preferences. But in my case, I'm going to show you how I would put together a combination that will fit in this container. Now, the first thing to do is to make sure that your container has good drainage in the bottom of it. It needs to be really free draining. So if you get a container that doesn't have holes in it, drill a couple of holes in it to make sure that the compost in here is going to drain freely. Then in the bottom of the pot, put some rocks like this, so that you're able to really start off with a good draining layer in the bottom of the container. Then use a potting compost, and you can buy this at the garden centres. As long as it's a well-balanced potting compost, it will work fine. Put a little bit of that in the bottom of the container, and then with your plant, in this case, as I mentioned, this yellow stem dogwood from proven winners, just knock it out of the pot and then just position it inside the pot, making sure that it's in the center of the container. And then the next thing to do, when I can manage to get it done without poking my eye out, is to put some soil around the inside of I say soil, it's really compost, inside the container. So just fill up around the side of the pot, pushing it down, firming it in with your fingers to make sure that there's no air spaces there. And then when you have that done, the next thing is to take your little perennial, which is this beautiful little ajuga. Only grows about 6 inches high. This is absolutely gorgeous thing. I love how this bright yellow foliage works so well. And then just push that down to the top of the pot and position it there, and then take another one out of the pot and work your way around the planter. Like so. Save the tag because that might come in handy whenever your visitors are coming to you and asking you what this beautiful plant is. So just position these in between the branches of your yellow stem dogwood. Just press them down and then work your way really around the pot, knocking them out of the pot. As you see, here's a little tip. If you press on the bottom of the pot, turn them upside down, and at the same time keep your hand on the bottom, you'll find that usually they pop out of the container very easily. Another little tip, and particularly appropriate for this one here, is that this, as you see, has a really beautiful root system to it. And because this is a fairly small container and I want to make something that's going to have a nice impact in a smaller space on our door front, I've just knocked a little bit of the compost off the bottom of the root ball, as you see. That'll shorten it down a little bit. It really won't do the plant any harm, particularly if you've got compost underneath here and you water it well when you put it in. And then I'll turn this around because you might be interested to see that it's important then that you move the branches to one side just to make space for putting it in. Get the roots down into the bottom of the pot so that it positions in there, and then just press it down so that it fits in to make a combination. And that, as you see, is really starting to come together very nicely. And then gradually, the last, in this particular pot here, I think I have room for 4 plants. So I'm going to put my last little juga in. Just knock it out of the pot again, and like before, save the tags because they'll come in useful. Knock a little bit of the compost off the bottom of the plant, saving the roots, because as you see, the roots are here. They're quickly going to establish and get into the compost here at the bottom, and then move the branches and push it down in. And as you see, this is coming together to produce a nice little combination. Then finally, with your fresh compost, just push that in between the plants, making sure that there's no air pockets in there. And also get some into the center of the plants. There's a little bit of a hole just in between them there. Just firm that down. And I think you can see how this is really beginning to come together, and it's something that will certainly brighten up things on a cold, blustery day. And now the last thing to do is to make sure to give it a good watering. Really pour the water in between the plants, making sure that all of that compost is in close contact with the roots so that it gets down to where the bottom of the pot is, and then you can look forward to having it out somewhere where it's going to, I think, cheer things up considerably. And then after that, the only thing left to do is decide where you're going to be able to position it to be of most advantage, somewhere which is going to greet your visitors, your family, and of course yourself every time that you pass by. Cheery, colourful little combination that's very easy to do and will probably last for a reasonable amount of time in this container. In our case, I would say we're probably going to get 4 or 5 weeks out of it, and then we'll take the plants and we'll plant them out in our gardens and enjoy them and do another combination. If you wanted to, you could put this into a larger pot. It will last longer in that situation. All you have to do, of course, is water it, but also remove the flowers as they start to go over, and that will encourage new fresh blooms to come up from the middle. As this grows, it's going to droop over the edge, and of course the shrub is going to leaf out and then have green leaves during the summertime. You could use a variegated version if you want, or indeed some other sort of key plant. Now, if you'd like to find out some information on any of these individual varieties, scroll through the rest of our channel, because we have videos on there that features these and a lot of other really good performing varieties too. And when you're there, why don't you, if you haven't already, think about subscribing to our channel, because we have lots of stuff coming, lots of interesting and I hope useful information. And also, if you think that it's worth it and our videos are worthy of passing on to friends, then it would be nice if you clicked the like icon too, because that will help other people find those videos and that information. Whatever you do, I hope that you enjoy planting up cheery, colourful combinations like this. This is David Wilson. Enjoy your gardening. It's good for us, and it's very good for our environment too.